All right, it's time for the kids to head back to school, and for seniors, for a lot of them at least, this whole year is going to be about next year, about getting into college. And it starts with that college application. How does yours stand out from the crowd? Well, let's find out from the expert. Ron Carruthers from Ducerus College Solutions joins us here again this morning. I know, seniors shouldn't wish their lives away, but they kind of go into that senior year sometimes just almost blowing it off because everything points towards college. That might be a mistake, though.
Well, yeah, it's a real problem to fall into senioritis too early. And one of the things with most of them applying to college right now, we thought we'd throw some tips about how to get your application to really stand out, and it starts with the essay. So one of the things we wanted to tell everyone, we know everybody's going back to school in the next week or so has already started, but it's definitely a good time to print your applications out right now.
So print them out before school even starts. You don't have to necessarily do anything with them yet except kind of start to peruse them, right?
Yes, because what you'll find is even if your student's applying to several schools, and we recommend 8 to 10, you'll find you're only really writing 2, 3, maybe 4 essays max because a lot of the themes will cover each other. And so one of the things that you want to do is look at them right now and make sure you have an understanding of what they're asking for. So it gives you some time to think about it before you actually sit down to write.
And that percolates in your head. I mean, it's kind of how I study for interviews and so forth, is I like to look over the material 1 or 2 times, just kind of briefly look over it, and a few things will stand out. And then your brain can work on that and percolate that without you even being conscious of it. As long as you get started on it.
Exactly. And what a lot of the students don't realize is that this whole process is really a lot easier than they think. What you have to look at is what is the college really looking for? And what they're looking for is why should they pick you or your student versus the other students? So it's almost like a job interview.
So all other things being equal, SAT scores, grade point averages, and so forth, then they go to that essay.
Correct.
And they want to see, okay, let's see who this kid is.
Exactly, and just like a job interview, no matter what the question is, well, tell us when you got along with a coworker, tell us a problem you solved. What they're really asking is, why should we pick you versus these other kids? So answer accordingly. Pick something that makes you stand out or shows you as being unique. And it doesn't have to be a big deal, just something that points to why you'd be a good fit.
And you say this is totally different than writing an academic essay for a grade.
Correct, and it's why we always joke, and we're going to get hate mail from English teachers, so bring it. We'll give your email out. But basically, if your English teacher loves it, oftentimes that can be a kiss of death because you've got to make sure you understand the difference between an academic essay, which is about a subject, and a narrative essay, which is about you. And those are totally different, and you don't want to...
Now, of course, now, in defense of the English teachers, you want it to be grammatically correct.
Absolutely.
And you want it to have, a beginning, a middle, and an end, and all those nice elements to it. But that's not the goal here, to have the perfect paper. The goal is to put yourself into it, something that's intensely personal if you can.
Correct. And again, that points you in a good light. And we recommend avoiding SAT words. You don't have to get overly fancy and impress them with 3- and 4-syllable words.
that they know you don't really use in real life anyway.
Exactly. And when you sit down to actually write the essay, I'll give a couple other tips. One is set a start time and an end time. So we find too many people will sit for hours and just stare at a blank sheet, and it really helps if you go, okay, I'm going to work on this for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, no distractions, and just get to work and write. And then you want to make sure you give it at least a week before you come back to it and look at it again, because that's what will really give it time to age and you kind of see it differently, just like we were talking about, percolating and giving your time to think about it.
And just as we like to read news copy out loud before we ever deliver it down here in the newsroom, we like to make sure it reads well. You say, hey, read it out loud.
Number 1 tip for having a smooth essay, when you think it's done, stand up, read it out loud, and where you trip or it needs smoothing out, it'll be very apparent and much more so than if you read it in your head.
All right. Ron Carruthers, Ducerus College Solutions. Folks, if you have questions about any part of the application process, scholarships, any of those things, you get in touch with Ron at Ducerus College Solutions, and they're fabulous at sorting things out and zeroing right in on what's best for your student. So, Ron, it's always great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right.